No simple rub. No simple rub. No simple rub. No simple rub.
Are you good?
Good. How are you
Okay.
guys?
All right. Yeah, you don't want to do it dry mouth.
Yeah,
No.
let's do it cotton mouthy. John, I'm Aaron. How you doing, man?
Aaron.
Good to finally meet face to face virtually with a screen in between us.
Yes.
Only way to do it these days.
So freaking weird.
This is Mel. Nice to have you on the show.
And then I'm Apple. Thank you for joining us, John.
Hi, Apple.
So how's your day going, man?
Oh, it's good. I took the morning with my daughter, and we were just sort of enjoying the nice weather on the East Coast that we're having. So,
Right on.
I
Dad and daughter date.
Yeah. How old is your daughter?
She's 19 months.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. So that's
Precious
That's
time.
still fairly new. You're 19 months old as a dad.
I am.
How's that?
Pretty incredible. It's a let's see. Because of everything that's going on, I think it's been more mellow than it would be if
Mm.
we were in, pre-pandemic life. Just
Yeah.
because birthday parties, all these things. So I think we actually kind of caught a break in terms of this first year or so being kind of mellow. We haven't even really met all the family yet, which is
Wow.
it's just been a really tight unit. Me and my wife Sarah and Penny, the three of us, man, every day, just sort of doing it.
How are you doing, man? Are you hanging in there? Like, cause
Yeah,
things for us, it's just been tough.
yeah. It's I'd say day to day.
Yeah.
Actually, making it out of the winter is a big deal for us on the East Coast, and I'm usually at least getting a little bit of a break here and there, doing some tours,
Mhm.
going out west or something. But this was like my first winter, just really doing winter heavy. So it was kind of weird. I wished I had like a couple of sunshine days, but it didn't happen.
You know, it's a trip, man. We moved from Vegas to Portland 4-ish years ago, going on 5. And like Vegas, there's like 2 seasons, if you call them that. It's hot and cold, and that's it. And
But the sun's always out.
but the sun's always out. Yeah. So we moved to Portland, and people are like, it rains from like October to June. And we were like, whatever, ha ha ha, yeah, it's cute. Dude, it rains from October to June. Like, it's dark out forever. And you really do, it does something to your head after a while. Like, you start tripping out. And I had never gone through that, so I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's weird. I've noticed that a few places I've lived, if you have a wood stove or something where you can make a fire, makes
Mhm.
at least for me.
Right.
It totally does. We have a fireplace, and every time we light the fire, it brings an energy into the house that makes you not care about how ugly it is outside. You know?
Totally. Yeah, man. Well, and you also you had another baby today. Yeah?
Another baby today? What do you mean?
Didn't the album come out today?
Oh, so yeah, I mean it's out every day now. But
Oh, it does.
Cool. Very nice.
I would say that today, yeah, it's been reborn again, and it's really good to get it out there. It's been out like multiple different ways since February, and
Okay.
Oh, okay.
did it in little waves. And I'm not even really sure how to release an album on my own, and so I just did it as best I could, and sort of like took the opportunity to do it kind of in a way that didn't stress me out too much, because we're still just sort of watching Penny every day and getting
Mhm.
little bits and pockets of work done. So whenever I can kind of calmly get something in where, hey, I'd like to talk to some people, or throw something out there that into the musical sphere, I want to do it in a way that I'm not frantic. So
Yeah. Yeah.
get it out there in different ways and have it like exist naturally.
But this thing is so,
Soothing.
and well, I was going to say this particular album is so unique. It's really, really different than anything that I've heard from you or anybody that you've played with. And in a really, really good way, man. It's textured and thick and calming and environmental is the way I feel. Like Mel and I were laying on the couch, we were listening to the Hikikomori, the very first track, like about a half an hour ago. And I was like, this song sounds the way a sigh feels. Like when you're like, oh, like if you could make music that felt like that, that's that song.
Right on. I've been getting a pretty solid response along those lines, environmental and soothing and sort of to the point. You know, I'm not like a multi-instrumentalist per se. And I did have guests on here that helped out, but a lot of these things they were birthed from like very, very, I would say like simple, pure ideas. And then I sort of branched them out just a little bit. And that's where I left it. And I think that it was a good time to get it out and sort of maybe show people where my headspace is at lately.
Yeah.
But yeah, most of it was done on my own. And then the guests along the way, I just took very, very small little pieces of things that, you know, I felt were important. You know, we were just like hanging out. It wasn't a lot of these, it wasn't like recording studios per se. Everything's kind of pieced together, iPhone recordings and, you know, hang sessions and stuff just sort of ends up staying in there. And that's why it felt natural. And so that's like, I think why you get that feeling.
It feels so good too, man. Like, especially, I mean, everything seems like especially right now, but with everything being so weird and surreal, life being so odd, and the energy in the world is so sketchy that when you get something like this, it's medicine. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I'm excited to jam it out with some people soon. I
Yeah.
actually rehearsal here. I was playing some keys and drums and trying to figure out how to do it live. Um,
Whoa.
so
How would
Wow.
you even go about that? Because it seems so cinematic.
yeah, I don't know. A lot of it might just sort of end up being something really special for a couple of shows, and I'm done with it. But the idea all along, um, in any sort of musical endeavor I have, is to try to accomplish it live. But you kind of got to start somewhere. And I've been on the road so much the last 5 years that it's been tough to get together with anybody
Right.
and focusing on whoever's hiring me and working that way. Um, that's been like the main focus. So a lot of the music I make, I'm not like really, you know, it's hard to jam with yourself. So I just ideas and sort of like lay them out, and every once in a while, someone will come along and want to play on it or express interest in it, and that's how it comes about. So like when it does end up becoming a live thing, hopefully I'll have just found the right guys that are able to sort of accomplish what you heard, but in a more improvisatory
Right.
way.
Yeah.
Just
I
everything kind of tuned into like just the vibe of what the recording is and be able to like express themselves over the songs, interpreting them however.
wow. I would think that like I mean going to a good show is a lot like going to a movie in a lot of ways, but going and seeing something like that would be a completely different trip.
Yeah,
Like
excited. I'm really happy to hear that you guys enjoyed it or felt like
yeah.
in a good way because um it is different than I think a lot of the music I end up working on. So it's nice to get my vibe out there and feel, oh yes, it's
Yeah,
accepted.
like I love listening to instrumental music, especially music that would be in a spa, because that's the kind of music I would play during a treatment. And listening to this, Aaron said it earlier, it's got texture, but it's like I said myself, it's also soothing. So
Mhm.
it it's not just background anymore. Like with the spa music, you do want to put something in the background that's not going to intrude on your treatment and take away from relaxation. But what I found with this is that it does give that background effect, but there's interest and it still doesn't take you away from
It's engaging.
relaxing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got a very unique dynamic to it. And I'm super stoked to play it for treatments. Super stoked to see what you do with it.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I'll say to that is a lot of the music that I end up listening to in my spare time, if I do have time to do that, it just sort of aids me in whatever context I'm in, which is mostly driving down the road.
Okay.
So I like to find things that sort of like complement the trip I'm on, whatever.
Sure.
Um, so a lot of those things that I do end up listening to and influence me when I'm trying to relax tread that line of like keeping me calm but also keeping me engaged in like what I'm looking at around me.
Right on.
Do you feel like you're that kind of person that needs some kind of external stimuli to keep the noise in your head tamped down?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, me too, man.
Definitely affected in a way that freaks me out about um sound. You know, I've gotten I think my wife is the closest person to like maybe understanding like what I go through when certain sounds are affecting me in a good or a bad way, and it's definitely um person to person. But I'm 100% needing something to go to sleep to these days. That's the one crutch I have. I need something to like just sort of take out the chatter. So I put something
What
on.
would be an example of like a sound that would, like take you in or out of a good mood or would,
See.
create something like that?
To good or bad?
I guess maybe a bad example first.
Bad example first, I think, would just be something that I've gotten an overdose of, whatever that might be. So like
Okay.
you guys remember being backstage at festivals?
Yes.
Vaguely.
um, as the summer draws on, I'll start to realize whatever festival I'm at, maybe it's like October by this point,
Mhm.
the sound of the PA from the opposite direction is like absolutely nauseating. You know, like, I mean, it could be great out front, but even at the point of like playing however many shows, it's kind of hard to listen to something out front in a crowd with a giant PA.
Yeah.
But but yeah, the bass, the way that it's sort of like, I don't know, just there's
I
something
know
about
what you mean.
white tent and like having nowhere else to go, and having that bass just sort of travel through your body for hours before you have to get up there and the guy's like, you want a sub? Or like, what do
No.
I don't know that I do. But you want to feel it. I don't know. It's like, um, that's definitely one thing. But yeah, anything that like, I'm overdosing on is a lot. Like my dryer drives me nuts these days.
Oh
Okay.
man, that's the John, man.
Well, we
Little
always
things getting in
You're
there.
speaking my language right now,
at
brother.
the music podcast, we always talk about sounds that we love that are positive in our life, but there's definitely sound or noises or music or whatever that grades against your nerves or that puts you in a state. I was just last night, Apple was watching a live stream and I was about to go to bed. And like for me, kind of like what you were saying, bass, it's a certain frequency of the bass. I love the bass. I love the instrument. I love the vibratory, but after a certain pitch or vibration, I feel like I am in a like I need to like plug my ears, like be in a small bowl or like in a closet. Like I just can't be, it hurts almost.
Yeah, Mel, another example would be I moved recently from Brooklyn to um, Pennsylvania.
Oh,
I had our apartment is like right on this street. You wouldn't really consider it busy, but the way that the street is laid out, the cars wish by. And I was so soothed by it in the beginning. Really enjoyable. Sounded like the ocean. And now it's the cars whizzing by is like I can feel my chest rising or like my heart kind of like
almost
Wow,
creating an
John.
anxiety, huh?
definitely like an anxiety inducing sound at this point. So it's like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's all definitely quarantine related too. It's
Yeah.
never been as bad as it has now where I'm like, what is that sound? I gotta, either get away.
Stop.
Well, maybe because you're also in the same place for a lot longer than you were prior. Not just the quarantine, but the reality of it.
Physicality.
Yeah, the physicality of it.
Definitely.
Well, I understand what you're saying too. That I've found too that it's hard to get a good night's sleep. It's hard not to be restless, and I have to. Normally, I'd like it quiet. I got to have something on in the background. It's something whether it's white noise, usually music, real quiet, and white noise. I need something going on in my head besides what's going on in my head. And that's soothing. And that's something that's what I was going to say. They already gave me admiration for the new album today. I haven't been feeling the greatest this week, and today is kind of a rough day. I went down and laid down earlier. I already listened to the album, but then I put it on not feeling well and just laid on my couch in the dark with my eyes, basically kind of meditating. And it just took me on a nice journey of like one moment it's a magic carpet ride through the Sahara, and then it's something else. And for some reason, I'd heard it several times already, but the track Speed really did something for me today. It like scratched this itch in my head that just felt so good. The way it starts at that song particularly just really struck me today. But it was therapy. It was medicine.
Yeah.
It helped me. It put me in a better mood this evening, especially getting ready to talk to you to have that happen today.
That's cool.
It was very nice. And thank you for the medicine. I feel better, John.
Well, that's so nice to hear, man. I mean, that one in particular is kind of influenced by some sonic strangeness that is called ASMR,
Oh yeah.
Okay.
That's scratching the itch.
sensory meridian response. When you start sort of using microphones in a way where you gain them up really hot, like if you were to take your mic, gain it up really hot and get like a super clear picture of whatever it is in front of the mic,
Like crinkling a bag.
that's like a very popular one. But I guess in the music sense, the way that I use it is like in a panning. Do you know what I like? When you take one thing, put it over here, and then you kind of make it go like this.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Create that sound, you start putting chords to it, or you start like with a melody, and that can kind of, I don't know. The faster it goes, the more it calms me down sometimes.
So it seems like this album was it was a therapeutic endeavor.
Mhm.
Music is it's either that or a weapon.
I suppose we just talked about sound weapons
No
earlier, so
shit,
you're
man.
right.
John, so this being in one physical place so much there's blessings and curses in it for me. And one of the two sides of that coin is it's really brought to light the noise in my head. There's a lot that happens in here that I wasn't really aware of prior to this. And I don't know if it's because I've been working from home and there's a lot of time where I'm here and the house is silent, and that chatter that's going on in there is really fucking apparent. And it's monotonous, maniacal, nonsensical rattling. I think of that, that chimpanzee with the cymbals, and that's like half the time I'm standing on the outside of this
Monkey brain
thing going on in there, going ape shit, literally, and like watching it, going, why don't you shut the fuck up, and Just recently, I've started putting on static in the room, just static, and that seems to like tamp it down, and then I can focus. Do you relate to that?
I have my own version of that. Yeah, definitely. Um, I don't know if there's a way for me to get rid of it unless it just goes away.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
These
I
days,
mean, yeah. Well, I was just gonna say, I don't know that I have ADD, but Ryder, he talks about his ADD, and he's our nephew. He used to be on the show, but he talks about he has to have something in his ear all the time. So he's got headphones when he goes to bed, first thing in the morning. Like there's always something because it helps to quiet that
Yeah,
whatever.
he's always got one earbud
Yeah,
in
at
at
least
least.
one.
the one earbud is that's brutal. But I have that for sure. I think a lot of us do.
Right?
Tough thing to talk about or even put into words, but for me, the music thing, like I said, it's either therapy or a weapon, and too much of it or too little of it, it just depends. You kind of have to find that nice balance. I've got a lot of work invested in the music
Mm.
thing, so the older I get, the more I realize I have to really be careful about what I'm listening to.
Mm.
Whoa. Can
Um,
can you explain that a little bit? Because I get what you mean, but I guarantee there's certain people that are hearing right now that are like, "What?"
yeah, sure. The I guess what I'm getting at is I have to listen to things to learn them, or remember them. And I have these little cues within the music that help me play drums and sort of relate to the other musicians without being there.
Mm-hmm.
For me to kind of tap into those cues like alone when I'm working on them, I can't have listened to like 6 albums that week, or
Right.
else
Yeah.
um, to like ingest the work I have to do.
Right.
So um, I usually tend to stick to something for a really long time and sort of work that muscle that makes me good at um, learning what I need to know about the music, whether I have to learn it for if I'm playing with a band or not. Just like sticking with it and sort of treating it like a note card.
Yeah,
Oh
kind of like
wow.
minimizing the input so you can focus on what you
The
need to
output.
learn for
Yeah.
your output.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So
I see it like there's only so much room on the canvas, and if you start spilling paint from all over the place, all over the thing, there's no room left to do what you need to do. And also, like, I don't remember who we were talking to. I think it might have been Billy Strings. We're talking about like learning to play and developing your style. And he was like, at some point, I had to stop listening to other guitar players because I was finding my own voice. I was replicating the things that I heard instead of finding my own thing.
right. I
Yeah.
can, yeah. And luckily, a lot of the music I listen to isn't too close to my work. They're different things, and that's really helpful. That I don't have too much invested in what it is that I do versus like my pleasurable listening that I actually can like
Mm.
take and inform my work. So that's kind of like a nice thing. I got these two different sort of places in which they inform each other and don't I don't know. I guess like
Bleed,
overlap in a
bleed
negative way that
over. Yeah.
you know.
What's some of the music that you're listening to that you for fun music like
For fun, I listen to things. I mean, the stuff that might pertain to the record that I put out, Hikikomori, would be a bit. There's a band called The Books. I don't know if you guys have heard of them.
Mhm.
It's like a cellist and a guitar player, and they take found sound collages and sort of create um, really cool atmospheric tracks.
That's cool.
Books is a cool band. I've been really into Limbic System all my life, which is an incredible drums and keyboards duo. And let's see what else. Oh yeah, Room Full of Teeth is another one that I really like. That's like they're a vocal group. There's like three guys and three girls, and they do these incredible like pieces with their voices where they're like a barbershop quartet kind of has like this. These guys use their voices like slide guitars. Like they have all these different moves where they're like bending into chords, and it's just really like you don't really even. I like things that you don't really understand what you're listening to.
Yeah.
Goes away. It's like that's not a guitar. That's not a voice. Or so I've been into stuff like that because it kind of makes me. It makes the band stuff refreshing too.
Oh, wow. Okay. That makes
Wow.
total sense. Because if you're constantly in the same thing, that thing can turn gray.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, man.
Say that with I mean I love both, but for me I have to categorize things to some extent to feel like at least right now that I can go and sit down and play drums and become a member of a band again. So I
Yeah.
sort of kind of like deep dives into those things. But honestly, to be honest, I mean, like a lot of what I've been listening to lately is like things that my daughter knows this sign. This is more.
Hmm.
This is like for everything. More is kind of like what it is. And we started putting on Dua Lipa. Do you guys know Dua
Yeah.
Lipa?
Oh, yeah.
I've been listening to Dua Lipa songs, like three of since she figured out more, which was probably like 6 months ago or something. So I listened to mostly Dua Lipa.
And wait till it's like the Wiggles and Paw Patrol soundtrack.
3%, 90% Dua Lipa. So
So what about segue just a little bit into Astrology Days?
oh wow, yes.
Yeah. Well, welcome to the podcast scene. Tell us about that.
Well, Astrology Days is something I started with Pappy from Cabinet. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of Cabinet on the East Coast, bluegrass,
No.
really incredible bluegrass band from Pennsylvania
Okay.
for about 10 years. And Pappy and I just well, actually, yeah, it's been a year since we first started talking about it, but we started Astrology Days. It was kind of a way as all of our shows kind of started tanking. All the schedules got, you know, screwed up. We were like, well, let's start Astrology Days because none of our friends release music and we want to try to, give them a place to be. And the idea was like, there's not much we can do for you, but if we band together, we'll be able to at least help each other in little areas of expertise that we have. Like Pappy's really good at artwork or small batches of CDs. I'm really good at mixing. Our buddy Ben is an audio engineer and tech and does all these things. We're trying to just like try to put everybody in house and have like a place where our areas, which is kind of like Brooklyn, Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania, and Burlington, Vermont, to have some sort of sound. So that's what we're creating there.
It's like a collective, an artist collective or musician collective.
Correct. Yes, and the podcast is like an extension of that. Just trying to talk to our friends and keep sane.
I listened to the first episode today.
No way. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. So did I.
I did. And wow, man. Like
I like how you talked about the very beginning.
that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
You really like painted a picture for me of what you personally went through at the start of all this shit and what that looked like through your eyes. Like we all have our own lens of experience and we're living our life through it. And it's kind of weird talking to you now for me because you represent a full circle in a weird kind of a way for me, because the first time you and I spoke, you called me um, about talking to you at Skull and Roses, like February of 2020 or January. We talked on the phone for a little while.
Yeah.
And
that's right.
Yeah.
I remember now.
And the second to last show I saw before quarantine was Mike Gordon band at the Crystal Ballroom.
No way.
Yes.
And now I'm talking to you now. So it's this weird, like, full circle thing. It's just it's extraordinary to see that through your eyes,
the other side of
how it all went down, because dude, it's fucking terrifying, man. And I forgot like the scariness of it when it was going down. Like because now we have the benefit of hindsight and looking back and going, okay, well, it wasn't, there wasn't bodies lined up in the streets, but we didn't know what was going to happen. And like, you're in a tour bus with 12 people and going to Japan. That's gnarly, man.
But it's a burden. Family needs has been deferred, and hella means been the earth, and alchemy can bring the birth, the melody of a newborn. So persistent, so resistant, so insistent, so commitment, so resilient, or haven't you learned it? One simple road. Shattered as I focus through the spot in the corner that is still intact. The react is both a defense mechanism as well as a fear. We've traveled this road before, so we may think, but it's a tad bit of strange similarities that feed an A equal A complex. The fears of your past do not equal the perplexities of the current road.